for Mumford and Sons. This was boring as fuck. I expected nothing, but you know, it is what it is, isn't it? It was just boring. They've been going on a pretty downward trajectory. So I should have seen it coming that this album would be as equally as bland and uninspired as the last one, because that was unbelievably just empty. It's funny because I've just seen no talk about this album at all, so I'm assuming that their fans have all jumped ship, or at least a majority of them by now. Look, at least I can say that they're not doing ridiculous banjo solos that were unbelievably corny and hard to listen to back in the day, but at least they brought out a couple of okay songs like Little Lion Man. That was alright. Now on here, there's just like absolutely nothing to pull away. There are some nice guitar melodies here and there, but they just aren't captivating enough to pull off this melancholic, mellow sound. Look, if you're a fan of Mumford & Sons and you're watching for whatever reason, you want to see this done right, try some Ichiko Aoba. Like, seriously, that is where you get the gorgeous melodies in the guitar playing. It's so stripped back, there's nothing there except her voice and a guitar, pretty much like the majority of this album. And it's just so much better. I feel like this album's just going on a journey like in the darkness, in the wilderness, and there's just nothing. Like, there is just nothing the entire time. It's not worth, you know, talking about. There's nothing to say. There's nothing interesting going on. You're just walking in the dark. That is what this album is. And perhaps if, you know, the singer was able to interest me with his vocals, that could actually be a really cool album. Or if at least they could pen some interesting songs, you know, interesting lyricism, detail. I just get nothing from here. I guess this is similar to the Imagine Dragons review, where people were just like, yeah, we know that they're not good anymore, there's no point in doing a review on it. But at the same time, you know, you've got to review everything equally and fairly. Like, this is a band that has a decent sized fan base, so I'm here to say that this album isn't particularly good, despite the fact that they're quite successful, they're quite well known. It's just got to be said, you know. As a critic, you've got to shoot down the albums that aren't worth your time, because, you know, who's gonna be there to say that they're not good? And this is that album. This is the album that needs to be shot down. There needs to be some kind of progression in this band. They've progressed into more mellow music, and it's ended up making them less flavorful and less characterful. It's not like the whole thing is terrible though. Like I said, there's some nice melodic moments where I'm like, okay, they're actually picking things up, there's something going on. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty much drab. It's a real shame that it took until the closing track, you're 55 minutes in or whatever to the album, and finally there's something worth noting. This is actually a really solid closing track. I mean, even just looking at it outside of the fact that the rest of the album is not worth your time, I can at least respect this track, because I love the way it starts off really quietly, like the rest of the album does, because that's its you know, direction it's taking. But then it has this nice little build, very slowly, kind of like a post-rock crescendo kind of way. But you know, it does have this really nice momentum picking up, and it actually makes for a really good track in the end. All this energy starts building up, it kind of hits this climax. For the first time on the album, the singer has a pulse. It's a pretty damn good closing track. Yeah, this is kind of the nail in the coffin for this band, isn't it? This isn't going to draw in any new listeners. The fan base that they once had is slowly kind of crumbled into, you know, nothing at this point. I guess over time the realization came about that Fleet Foxes were in fact the folk band that you could never top in the 21st century, because let's be honest, bands like Lumineers didn't stick around, did they? I'm kind of glad that the cream has eventually risen to the top, because a damn good amount of people can recognize that Fleet Foxes are in fact more melodically interesting than anything on this album. It is just painful. I was just sat waiting for something, just anything. And it took till the last track, track 14. Wow, Mumford and Sons. Wow. Yeah, it's gonna get a 4.5 out of 10. Not the worst thing I've heard all year by any means, but it's pretty bad. Let me know your thoughts if you've heard this. Let me know your thoughts on the band in general. Subscribe if you would like to subscribe, if you enjoyed this review. If you have anything to say on it, let me know. Have a good day. I will wait, I will wait.